New digital scan of the Titanic has offered an unprecedented insight into the ship's final moments.
And you can see all the major pieces, and then you zoom in, and you can zoom all the way down to the smallest detail. Having a comprehensive view of the entirety of the wreck site is key to understanding what happened here.
The difference between Titanic sinking and not sinking are down to the fine margins of holes about the size of a piece of paper. But the problem is that those small holes are...
More than a century after the Titanic disappeared beneath the North Atlantic, the wreck has continued to reveal itself in fragments. For decades, our understanding of the ship came almost entirely from the outside. Grainy black and white photographs, side-scan sonar images, and brief manned submersible visits that offered only partial glimpses into the structure resting nearly 4 kilometers below the surface. That changed with the latest deep-sea drone mission. Using advanced underwater robotics, scientists have now completed the most comprehensive interior survey of the Titanic ever attempted. For the first time, a remotely operated vehicle descended into areas no human or machine had previously reached, mapping the ship's interior in extraordinary detail, and capturing images that have reshaped how historians, engineers, and marine scientists understand the wreck's condition and its final moments. The Titanic lies at a depth of approximately 12,500 feet, in a region of perpetual darkness, near freezing temperatures, and crushing pressure exceeding 6,000 pounds per square inch. At these depths, the ocean is not merely hostile, it is lethal. Human divers cannot survive there, and even the strongest conventional machinery would be destroyed almost instantly. Every previous exploration has been constrained by these realities. The new drone was built specifically to overcome them. Its pressure-resistant body is constructed from a specialized titanium alloy comparable to those used in military submersibles and spacecraft. Sensitive cameras are protected behind thick synthetic sapphire lenses designed to withstand immense pressure without distorting light. The drone is tethered to a surface vessel by miles of fiber optic cable, transmitting power and ultra-high-definition video in real time. Light is the drone's most critical tool. At Titanic's depth, there is no ambient illumination. The vehicle carries arrays of high-intensity LED panels, capable of projecting a controlled beam more than 100 feet through the dark water. Even this presents challenges. If the light is too strong or angled incorrectly, it illuminates marine snow, tiny particles of organic debris, creating a blinding storm that obscures visibility. Pilots must constantly adjust brightness and angle with extreme precision. Navigation inside the wreck is even more dangerous. The Titanic is no longer a coherent ship. It is a collapsing maze of twisted steel, hanging cables, and fragile, rust-weakened walls. A single mistake could entangle the drone's tether or cause a collapse that traps it permanently. To move safely, the vehicle uses 12 independently controlled thrusters positioned around its frame, allowing movement in any direction with fine control. Assisting the human pilots is an artificial intelligence guidance system. Using sonar and proximity sensors, the AI continuously builds a three-dimensional map of the drone's immediate surroundings. If the vehicle drifts too close to debris or walls, the system automatically corrects its position, preventing collisions faster than human reflexes alone could manage. This technology made it possible to enter the Titanic's interior in a way never before achieved. As the drone moved through narrow corridors and collapsed passageways, its lights revealed scenes frozen in time. In one section of the first-class promenade, deck chairs lay overturned and half-buried in silt, still recognizable despite more than a century underwater. In a nearby cabin, a pair of leather shoes rested side by side on the seabed floor, positioned as if their owner had carefully removed them before leaving. Nearby, a porcelain doll leaned against debris, its features eerily intact. its fabric faded to a uniform gray. These were not artifacts arranged by curators. They were moments preserved by circumstance. The drone ascended toward the area once occupied by the ship's grand staircase, one of Titanic's most iconic features. The staircase itself is gone, consumed over decades by iron-eating bacteria and structural collapse. What remains is a vast open void, a dark cavity cutting through the heart of the wreck. Along its edges, however, the drone's lights caught fragments of ornate iron railings, bent, twisted, and corroded, but still identifiable. The contrast between the ship's former elegance and its present ruin was unmistakable. The most surprising discoveries came deeper inside. Pushing through a partially collapsed doorway, the drone entered what appeared to be a steward's pantry. Here, preservation was far beyond expectations. Plates remained stacked on shelves, held in place by fallen debris. Wine bottles lay half-buried in silt, many still unbroken. The water in this enclosed space is exceptionally cold and oxygen-poor, conditions that dramatically slow decay. Pinned beneath a collapsed cabinet was an object that immediately drew attention: a leather-bound journal, sealed shut. The survival of such an item defies conventional expectations. Organic materials typically degrade rapidly in marine environments. The fact that a journal could remain intact for more than 100 years suggests that the microenvironment within the pantry has remained remarkably stable. Its contents, if ever recoverable, could offer a first-hand account of life aboard the Titanic, something no artifact has yet provided. For now, the journal remains untouched. This restraint is deliberate. Every movement inside the wreck carries risk, not only to the drone, but to the structure itself. The Titanic is increasingly fragile. Floors are collapsing, walls are thinning, entire sections of the hull are peeling away as corrosion accelerates. The drone's mission was not retrieval, but documentation. Using thousands of overlapping images captured during the dive, scientists are now constructing the first complete digital twin of the Titanic's interior. Through a process known as photogrammetry, computers analyze angles, distances, and textures to create a precise three-dimensional model. This virtual reconstruction allows researchers to study the wreck in detail without further disturbing it. The model is already changing long-held assumptions. For decades, it was believed that the Titanic broke cleanly into two main sections as it sank. The new interior mapping suggests a far more violent and chaotic breakup. Deep within the stern, structural tearing patterns indicate that the ship twisted and ripped apart under extreme stress. Internal support beams failed unevenly, causing cascading collapses rather than a single clean fracture. This insight is refining simulations of the sinking itself, offering a more accurate picture of how the ship met its end. The digital model has also revealed how quickly the wreck is deteriorating. By comparing the new data to older surveys, scientists have confirmed that decay is accelerating. The iconic captain's bathtub, visible in earlier dives, has collapsed. The main mast has fallen. Entire decks are weakening as colonies of bacteria form massive rust formations, slowly consuming the iron hull from within. These findings introduce urgency into a debate that has surrounded the Titanic since its discovery. The wreck is a grave site. More than 1,500 people died when the ship sank. For many descendants, the ocean floor where Titanic rests is a sacred space. The new footage, with its intimate views of personal belongings, has intensified ethical questions about exploration and preservation. Researchers involved in the mission were acutely aware of this responsibility. The drone was programmed to avoid contact with any object that might be associated with human remains. The goal was to observe, not to intrude. Historians, maritime archaeologists, and descendant groups were consulted before the mission began, shaping strict protocols for how the exploration would be conducted and how the footage would be presented. Still, the questions remain unresolved. The Titanic lies in international waters, beyond the protection afforded to traditional cemeteries. Over the years, artifacts have been recovered and displayed in museums, sparking controversy over whether preservation justifies disturbance. The rapid decay revealed by the new survey has intensified these arguments. Some believe that historically significant items should be recovered before they are lost forever. Others argue that the wreck should be left untouched, allowed to return naturally to the sea. The drone's discoveries have not settled that debate. They have made it unavoidable. What is certain is that the Titanic is changing faster than anyone expected. The digital twin now serves as both a scientific record and a memorial, preserving the ship's current state for future generations, even as the physical structure continues to deteriorate. The underwater drone did more than enter a shipwreck. It entered a moment in history that remains emotionally charged, ethically complex, and scientifically invaluable. What it revealed was not simply decay, but preservation of objects, of spaces, and of human presence suspended in time. The Titanic has always been described as a story frozen in the deep. What this mission shows is that the ice is melting, and with it, the opportunity to understand one of the most defining tragedies of the modern age. What remains to be decided is how much more of that story humanity should uncover before the ocean closes it forever.